Hello, everybody. Welcome to Townsend 909, or welcome back if you're a lovely viewer. Today, we're going to be starting a new series. Don't worry, me and Bryer aren't done with our Mamas and Papas series, and no, we're not. Me and Garrett aren't done with our Door series. I'm not
We're
just
ending
going
the Door series? Oh well.
to. We're not. I'm not blowing those series off. I just since it's three people, I figured it's going to be a new. It's its own separate entity. So start the Fleetwood Mac series. We're going to be going through all the Fleetwood Mac albums, and the very first one is Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac. I just put Fleetwood Mac 1968 because it has a 100 word limit, and I couldn't put in Peter Green because that would, you know, that would make things way too long, and that would
Right, yeah.
reach out the word limit. Before I get into
Yeah.
it, before Bryer gives his music info and all that, Fleetwood Mac has four eras. If you're expecting to get into the more recognizable songs right now, sorry, you have to wait for a long time for that. Not until at least 75 you won't get into the good stuff. Um, this is the first era, the Peter Green
You're gonna
era.
piss off a
This
lot
is,
of people by saying the good stuff.
so,
I don't know. I'm
some
probably gonna
people
piss
might
off
be
a
like,
lot of people. Whoa, my dryer went off. I'm probably gonna piss off a lot of people with my opinions on this album, but oh well. Don't ask
Yep.
me what I think
I think
of it.
we're all. I think we're all gonna.
I might not
be
give the
pissing
answer that you
people.
want me to if you understand my reference there.
Yes. But yeah, this is the first era. I'm going to talk about each era briefly. Well, the other three, but this is the more bluesy era with Peter Green, Jeremy Spencer. Does have the other two, John McVie and Mick Fleetwood. But this was
The only two consistent members.
Yep. This is the first album with all four members of the band. Yeah, it's that. And then the second era is the Bob Welch era where Peter Green and Jeremy Spencer were out. So when Danny Kerwin was sort of in it, he was in it for a little bit, but then he came out. It's confusing. And then there's the Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks era, which I call it the good stuff, but some people might attest to that. My favorite era is the Bob Welch era, but the Nicks and Buckingham era is a very close second with albums like Rumors and Tusk and Mirage. And then there's the post Buckingham's era, which it's only three albums, but I hate that era.
Nobody likes that.
That's the only era I'm not looking forward to. Supposedly, Rolling Stone made a review saying that was the best thing that happened to Fleetwood Mac. And I'm like, no.
Can we just stop at Tango in the Night?
If it was more albums, I'd say yes, but it's only three albums, and you could just kind of breeze through them. That's what I'm gonna do. Especially time. That was, yeah. We will be including a compilation album called the original Fleetwood Mac. Garrett showed it to me. It's gonna be in between the Killing House album review and the Future Games album review. So, yeah. Without further ado, let's hear Bryer's background / what do you guys say now?
All right. Yeah. So won't say too much. So of course we already mentioned the lineup, but basically what happened before that, of course, Peter Green, he was good friends with John Mayall. Of course, John Mayall was known for his other band, the Blues Breakers, which I have one album by them. This one has Eric Clapton on it, but I just have something. But of course, what's notable about John Mayall and the Blues Breakers is that this is where John McVie also got his starts. He's actually is on this album, so he's playing bass here. So through John's connections, Peter Green was able to get some time in the studio to record some demos. And while in the studio, he just created bunch of songs, and he felt like. Of course, he knew Mick Fleetwood. He knew John McVie from the Blues Breakers, and he was like, "Hey, you want to join my band? I'll even name the band after you two." And of course, Mick Fleetwood was all on board with that. John was a bit hesitant at first. He was very comfortable with the Blues Breakers. He kind of didn't want to leave it. Took him some convincing. Hence why I forgot to write it down, but there was one song on this. I think there was one song on this album where John is not playing on it. It's a different bass player. That bass player was Bob Brunning. Hopefully I said that right, but he only does that one song, and then the rest is just John, because eventually John came around. He said, okay, fine, I'll join. And yeah, there you go. You got the lineup. They recorded a bunch of songs, and you have this album. Did pretty well in the UK. It actually got to number 4 here in not here, but in the UK it got number 4. In the US, not so much. It only got to 198. So, yep, we Americans didn't care for it very much, but apparently the UK loved it. So, that's all I gotta say about this album.
Before Garrett says anything, it pisses me off how that album went to number 4, but the Welch albums didn't even crack the charts at all. And I'm like, those
Crime.
are like way better.
The crime of the century. So before I start talking about this, you probably see the name change on the thing down there. I was kind of I have at work now started going by my middle name Scott, and inspired by Jim McGuinn of the Byrds, who started going by Roger. I'm professionally going to be going by Scott on YouTube and honestly just like wherever I go now as well. So I don't know if that's going to throw any of you guys off, but I just started going by Scott now. So
All right.
does that trip anybody up?
I could call you Scott. I don't mind.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Okay, I'm gonna change it on the intro on my channel too. But if that gets too confusing, you don't have to. But I like the name Scott better anyway.
If I actually say it, I know you're not gonna kill me. So, but
Yeah, no.
Right.
But
why just getting high?
So I decided to go through the discography of Fleetwood Mac this year because I like Rumors. I've heard they had different eras. I wanted to kind of see what Fleetwood Mac was about. And so checking out all the different Fleetwood Mac albums sounded very exciting. And some of the Fleetwood Mac albums I like, some of them not so much. Honestly, I'm kind of just going to give my honest opinion because I know some people prefer certain eras and stuff. I'm just going to say how I feel about it. I'm to be 100% honest, I'm not going to let anybody's opinion influenced mine on Fleetwood Mac, and I'm just going to kind of call it like I see it with Fleetwood Mac. But if you like an era that I like, or like an era I don't like, and are a little upset about it, hey, that's the wonderful thing about Fleetwood Mac is they really got something for different people.
That's true. Same with Bowie. Bowie's another person like that. Like, if you're not into that glam rock stuff, you could just go into his 80s stuff. And if you're not into that, you could listen to Hunky Dory, the more singer-songwriter. Same with Bowie. But yeah, you're right. That's one thing I'm a huge fan of Fleetwood Mac about. You just said it. There's an era for everyone. If you're into that blues rock stuff, listen to the first 4 albums. To the more jazz fusion, more sort of like progressive. I wouldn't say they were progressive at all, but like sort of leaning tiny bit into there. Listen to the Bob Welch era. If you're more into that like pop rock stuff, which I'm a huge fan of the first 3 eras. The 4th one I could care less about. Listen to the Buckingham Nicks albums from 75 to
Bob Welch albums kind of remind me of Pink Floyd a little bit, honestly speaking.
That's probably why I like them so much, because they're so Pink Floyd, especially Future Games, the title track.
Yeah.
I'll talk more about that.
We'll get to that when we get to those albums. But Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac. That's what we're going to be reviewing today.
Yep. First track on the album, My Heart Beats Like a Hammer. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. So starts off with Jeremy Spencer with the guitar. Pretty solid opening track. Just your typical blues rock fare. It's got a nice drum beat to it. The guitar sounds pretty good. I don't have much to say, but it's all right. It was a pretty decent opening song.
I'm going to say get used to hearing this Elmore James inspired slide riff because it's going to be coming back a lot in these first 2 albums.
Oh, yeah.
This isn't the most famous song from Fleetwood Mac that it's used in, though. We'll talk about that one on the next album. The one that Nick and Bryer and I keep making jokes about that they just keep using the riff from. But there's definitely songs that I'll give good reviews of on this album, so you Peter Green fans, don't worry about that. I will say that I am a much bigger fan of Peter Green than I am of Jeremy Spencer. Jeremy Spencer is kind of the traditional blues guy in this band, and honestly, 100% speaking, I really liked it whenever they got Danny Kerwin because he brought something new to the table and took them in a more like different approach that was really cool. Honestly, I feel like Jeremy Spencer's got one foot in the past, and like it's good sometimes to be traditional and do traditional things. However, when we're talking about the 1960s, whenever people were getting real experimental with music and going out into like uncharted territory, this album, especially for 1968 and this particular song, seems very boring and kind of uninteresting compared to the same year you've got Bookends by Simon and Garfunkel, the White Album by the Beatles, even Friends by the Beach Boys, and Odyssey and Oracle by the Zombies. Like all these really experimental albums that are delving into like things you've never heard before. And then here's this blues band from Britain who's kind of just doing the 12-bar blues that honestly doesn't even really differentiate itself from other blues bands of like the 30s and 40s, if I'm going to be 100% honest. People are going to hate me for saying that, but like I'm just going to kind of call it like it is there. Peter Green definitely had some more innovative ideas for this album, and especially the third. I love, if you hate me for saying that, I love the third album with Peter Green, Then Play On. That one is amazing, but these first two albums are very, what's a good way to put it? Samey. That's all I'm probably going to reiterate that a lot with some of these songs, but I'm just going to get that off my chest before we continue with the review.
Yeah, I totally get that, and yeah, I actually, yeah, this is probably the best of the one of if not the best of the Jeremy Spencer stuff of the first two albums. I actually really like this song. I will agree though. You know, all the albums you mentioned there, plus albums like Village Green, Odd Good Stuck on Flake. There's just like so many amazing albums this year, and then you just have this one just sort of sticking out like a sore thumb. Like of all the UK albums of this year, it's just this one always stuck out for all the wrong reasons. Uh, I will say, yeah, I agree. Jeremy Spencer really was he was like the Mike Love of Fleetwood Mac and what's called, and I'd say Danny Kerwin was like the Neil Peart of Fleetwood Mac.
That's a really good analogy.
Like while Jeremy Spencer was like the Mike Love, he wanted to keep things more like this, and the next one, Mr. Wonderful, Danny Kerwin was like trying to bring them in more of a, you know, trying to broaden their senses of blues and trying to like experiment with it. Well, I'll tell you when our Then Play On video if I thought it worked or not.
Yeah, and there are songs that Fleetwood Mac do in this early period that definitely are bluesy, but still like have more of an experimental and like tendencies. Like Oh Well, man, I love Oh Well. That one is great because it's got the bluesy riff, but it's not just like boom 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 boom. My baby's not good to me, even though I wasn't true to her. But boom boom, you know, over and
Yeah.
over again.
But yeah, that's my thoughts on the first track. Next track on the album, Merry Go Round.
All right. Yeah, so another decent song. I will agree with both of you. I definitely think Peter Green was definitely, between the two guitars, Peter Green was definitely the better one of the two. I just think he has a much more interesting voice, and his guitar playing again is also very different. Even on this album, you can kind of hear he's doing stuff a little bit differently. But yeah, so then this one he wrote, sings lead on it. it's kind of a nice, kind of a mid-tempo track. Again, it's a cool guitar solo in it. But yeah, it's again. That's what I'm kidding. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna be pretty repetitive with a lot of these songs, but yeah, it's fine. It's good. I did like the song quite a bit. So, but yeah, again, there's not much that really differentiated from other blues bands that were around that time, but it's fine for what it is.
I agree with Bryer. This is much better than the first track, though, and Peter Green, like, way better than Jeremy Spencer, and especially like the stuff that he would do on Then Play On really lets me know that Peter Green is absolutely an amazing guitar player. Like, but we're talking about this album, so I'm gonna go ahead and say this now, though. I didn't get why people thought Peter Green was an amazing guitar player until I listened to that album, Then Play On, because the first two albums, they're restraining him a lot to just like basic blues chord progressions, because Peter Green is capable of some very amazing guitar playing, and I really wish that he could have stayed on for a few more albums. If they could have had like, get rid of Jeremy Spencer and keep Peter Green. You can have Bob Welsh and Peter Green. Like, there's one song on one of the Bob Welsh albums, I forget the name of it, but it had Bob Welsh and Peter Green like dueling guitar on that, and I listened to that and was like, I wish this is what Fleetwood Mac would have been for a longer period of time, because if it was like that, it would have been absolutely amazing. But I feel like Jeremy Spencer is kind of like the driving force behind the band right now, even though
Which is kind of ironic since Peter Green was a founding member. Like,
yeah,
Jeremy Spencer came later.
The name of the album is Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac, and Jeremy Spencer is the one kind of calling the shots on this album. But like, long story short, they should have given Peter more creative control, and if they would have from the get-go had more of the tendencies that they did on Then Play On, I would have liked early Fleetwood Mac a lot better. But I mean, it's no use diving into what could have been, because with even with Smile and Lifehouse and stuff like that, if you spend too much time thinking about, oh, we could have had this, like, it's cool to think about that for a bit, but whenever you think too much about what could have been, you don't appreciate what you have. So I'll just appreciate that we got that one really solid Peter Green album, Then Play On. But as for this song, much better than the first song, and Peter Green greater than Jeremy Spencer. So that's what I have to say about that.
Oh, great review, guys. I love this song so much. This is definitely one of my 5 favorites off this album. His singing, so much soul into it. Even though it's a generic blues song, he puts so much heart into it. I feel like when Jeremy does it, it just feels like him just sort of like doing it because he was inspired. But I don't hear the passion when he does it. But take this song, Merry Go Round. I'm like, wow, like we had like a full album full of, even though like back then in '68. Peter Green. This is probably why I went to number 4. By the way, is because Peter Green was sort of well known, not like Beatle well known, but like he definitely made a name for himself in the guitar as a guitarist, along with Eric Clapton and Hendrix and all that. And I wouldn't say he's as good as Hendrix or Clapton, but he definitely gave himself a reputation, and right away, it shows me that the reputation he got was for a good reason. I wouldn't go as far as to say he's one of my favorite guitarists of all time, or even my favorite, but this is a really good song. Even though it's the longest song on the album, I feel like it goes by really quickly because of how good it is.
I didn't know this was the longest one on the album. There are other ones that definitely feel longer than this one.
Yeah, this song's a little over 4 minutes.
Wow.
Nice. Still not too long. Maybe it's because I'm used to listening to like Rush and Pink Floyd.
Yeah, you listen to 2112 and Supper's Ready.
Mm-hmm.
Long Gray Mare, next song on the album.
All right, so now we get another Peter Green song, and this was definitely a highlight for me. I definitely enjoyed this one. Again, his singing on here sounds really good. It's really great guitar playing he does on this one. Again, it's nothing too crazy, but it's just like very memorable. Kind of a very pretty sound to it too. And also there's some harmonica he does on this track. I think he does the harmonica on all the tracks. And yeah, it just sounds pretty good, and I think it's a really pretty song. So yeah, this was kind of a highlight for me.
I think it's okay. Sorry, Bryer. It's not
Yeah,
one of my
yeah.
favorites on the album. It's another kind of just basic blues song. And not really one of my favorites from the album, but I think it's really all right if you like it, because I can definitely see this being one of the better songs on the album.
Don't worry, Bryer. I agree with you. I actually really like the song too. I don't know. I don't know if it's because I'm a big fan. I'm just a fan of Peter Green in general. I mean, I'm just a big fan of Peter Green. I mean, if there was no Jeremy Spencer in the group and Peter Green had the shots and Danny Kerwin was with them for the first 2 albums/3 albums, this would probably be my favorite era of Fleetwood Mac. But sadly, it didn't go in that direction. But I will say it's not as good as Merry Go Round, but this is a really good song for sure. Next song on the album, Hellhound on My Trail.
All right, so this is a cover. It's a Robert Johnson cover, and you have Jeremy Spencer doing the lead vocal. So he didn't write this one, at least. Um, so this one I didn't write a whole lot because I didn't. There wasn't a whole lot to say about it, but I still kind of enjoyed this one. I think the saving grace on this thing was the piano playing. I think the piano playing was really nice, and that kind of kept me engaged because I'm a sucker for piano stuff. So every time I hear piano, I'm gonna be kind of listening out for that. So yeah, again, it's kind of a very small review, but that's how it is with a lot of these songs. But the piano was the biggest highlight of this song for me.
I agree with Bryer that the piano is a big highlight, but other than the piano, people are gonna hate what I have to say about this album, but just was not very interesting. And like, if you're gonna get piano in there, Christine McVie is a very good piano player, and she's not in the band by this point. Like, her piano playing and the songs that she writes are like much more interesting than what's going on right now. Like, that's what I really like about later Fleetwood Mac, is like all of the variety you get when you put on a Fleetwood Mac album from all the different singers and writers on the album. And here you've just got Jeremy Spencer and Peter Green, which alternate between traditional blues and slightly less traditional blues, which I like the blues, but I don't know. It's like there are other blues artists I would much rather be listening to, like Cream or not early Stones, like mid-period Stones, like Out of Our Heads, December's Children, Aftermath, stuff like that. Like those artists are a lot more interesting with what they do with the blues.
Yeah, and by this time, Cream made their, in my opinion, their best album, Wheels of Fire, by this time, and this is an okay song. I mean, not a surprise. It's a Jeremy Spencer led song, so I'm not really that surprised. There is one really good Jeremy Spencer song that I say is up there with the Peter Green stuff on this album. We'll get into that when we get to that. But yeah, this is a really solid song, but definitely weaker than the first 3 songs. Next song on the album, Shake Your Moneymaker.
I'd like to go first on this one.
All right.
Okay.
This is the best song on the album.
Yes.
We finally get a song that stands out from the rest of the songs on the album, because we got some really great guitar playing on this song. It's kind of more upbeat rather than all the other songs are just like boom, 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 boom. I got a woman, but I don't think she like me, or something like that. And this one we got bum, 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 bum. and it's just more exciting than everything else on the album. Like, still, if I'm comparing it to other Fleetwood Mac stuff, like, I still not my favorite, but definitely out of the stuff presented on this album, this is my favorite.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, this was definitely my favorite song on the album. And yes, Jeremy Spencer on lead vocal in this one, which is very interesting. Again,
Interesting.
yes, yeah, interesting. Yeah, I know. But yeah, this one is a lot fast paced. It's much more going on in here. Again, it's a good rock number. Um, and yeah, it's just definitely the biggest standout. Definitely everything before this was kind of like more, again, more kind of mid pace, nothing too crazy. But now we get to this one, and now we get some blood in here. So yes, so this was definitely a standout song.
Ironically, it was it was a Jeremy Spencer song. Ironically,
I know. I can't believe it. It's not Dust My Broom Part 5.
oh yeah.
Oh, that's
Well,
a little sneak preview for next video.
technically, you could say it's My Heart Beat Like a Hammer part. It's the My Heart Beat Like a Hammer riff because it started on this album, but it's only on the second album that's when they started reusing it. But
Dust My
Yeah.
Broom is a more memorable name.
I think what helps is that
Yeah.
this was also a cover, so he didn't technically write this song. So I guess that helps.
Yeah, we're going too far in the future. Yeah, as Taste Like Music would say, we have a trifecta. This too is my favorite song on the album. So we have a trifecta right now.
Nice.
I totally agree. This song is the most upbeat. There was two songs that was contending with this song, but ultimately this is the better of the three. But yeah, Shake Your Money Maker. Last song on side one, Looking for Somebody.
All right. So I'll go first again. Again, you have another Peter Green song, and he's on lead vocals here. Definitely nice harmonica playing. Kind of going back to the mid-tempo stuff. Again, not a whole lot besides the harmonica. I think so. Let me just double check, but I think possibly of all the Peter Green stuff, I think this is probably my least favorite. I just found this after a while it did get a bit samey, got a bit dull towards the end. So yeah, wasn't crazy for this one.
What I'm going to say about this song is I found what Jimmy Page was listening to when he wrote How Many More Times. Or wrote. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like this is the kind of stuff Led Zeppelin was listening to when they kind of made
Right.
their sound for their debut album, and I think they even lifted a few of the lines from this song and kind of the feel of it, but it's not exactly like a straight up stealing as much as like Whole Lot of Love or Dazed and Confused, which that's a whole nother video we could go into. Even though I'm a big fan of Led Zeppelin's music, they kind of borrowed a little bit too much on some of their, just why Houses of the Holy is my favorite album by them, because it's all original. But as for this song itself, which is funny because every time Led Zeppelin steals your song, they do it better, honestly speaking. So I like How Many More Times a lot better than this particular song. However, I definitely do like the kind of driving beat of it. And I feel like maybe it would have been, I feel bad for saying this, but would this song have been better as like an instrumental? Like just gonna have that boom, 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 and have Peter Green just like play some really cool guitar over it. Like I would have liked that a lot better.
Oh, interesting.
That's No Place to Go you're referring to. I think
That's the wrong song.
Oh, wait. Yeah, that might be it.
Yeah, how many more years? Is that? I think
Yeah, the
you're
one that
referring.
says how many more years and then how many more times are you going to treat me the way you do?
Yeah, that's the next song on the out. That's the start of the first side.
Well, I think I've just proven my point that half these songs sound the same.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. What I'm gonna say is probably what you're gonna be thinking. Well, it's my least favorite of the Peter Green stuff too. It's just okay. Definitely a big letdown after Shake Your Money Maker. that's all I gotta say. I don't want. Well, before we begin talking about the second side, hey guys, how's it going? Good. You know,
Good.
What's up, Jason? How's moving in?
moving out.
Ba-da-da-da-da-da.
Been busy moving. Yep,
Is supper ready?
supper's ready. Well, Garrett already told his opinion on the next song, No Place to Go.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about it, though, Bryer?
Yep. So another cover. You have Green on vocals, harmonica, steady beat. Yeah, I think Garrett pretty much summed it up. It's another pretty good song, but again, there's really not much to say about it. It's okay song, but yeah, where did I put this again? It was kind of middle of the road. Yeah, I agree. I think Led Zeppelin did this way better, but yeah, that's just me. But it's okay.
There's a reason the Led Zeppelin debut was on the Wall of Fame, and Peter Green's
Exactly.
Fleetwood Mac is not, even though they're just 1 year apart.
Yeah, you don't even own Peter Green's, so that's how to show the quality of it. I just bought this because I actually thought it was a lot better than I think of it now when I first listened to it.
I mean, I'm pretty sure all of us have that phase we go through where it's like, oh, I just want to get whatever's like the super cool album that's like, it's not the most popular album. This is like the one that only the cool people like. I can't think. There's other examples, but like where it's like, yeah, this album is so much better than Rumors. Like I think a lot of us have been through phases like that where we like an album more just because we want to fit in with that cool crowd that doesn't like the most popular choice.
Yeah, I made a dumb comment in our 1968 video a while back ago when I said I prefer this over the commercial stuff. I'm like, rather than looking back at it, I'm like, no. If we're talking about Then Play On, maybe, but no.
I went through that with Revolver, where I'm like, this is like, because like Revolver, a lot of people put that one as the best Beatles album, and I went through a phase where I'm like, I do not want to put Revolver as one of like the 3 best Beatles albums, and stuff like, no, Rubber Soul so much, but even though I love Rubber Soul, I need to do a ranking video of the Beatles, but Revolver is number 3 now for me. It's too good, and it is better than Pet Sounds. I will yield that now. When I originally did my 1966 video, I put Pet Sounds as my number 1 album of '66, but no, it's Revolver.
Yeah, we need to do the ranking video with all 4 of us because the last time it was just the 2 of us. And
we do. We need to redo that because like it was just 2 of us, and I don't know, like half the video got cut off at the beginning and stuff. Like, it definitely is one of my least favorite ranking videos we've done, even though like it's my favorite band of all time.
Yeah,
which is kind of
odd. Yeah, No Place to Go. It's a pretty good song. It's not going to be a song that I'm going to go back to a lot. That goes for the same with a bunch of these songs. You know what? I'm just going to say all these songs on this album. Like, unless I'm doing a deep dive or I'm listening to all the albums, I'm not going to be like, oh, you know what I haven't listened to in a while? Merry-Go-Round. But, yeah. Yeah, it's good, but it's not the best.
If you Peter Green lovers are still watching this review, please wait for our Then Play On album review, where I say good things about early Peter Green Fleetwood Mac, because like that album is amazing. I just the early. Sorry, what is it?
It's okay. You can continue. Sorry.
The really early, like straight up blues Fleetwood Mac is just not my favorite.
Yeah. Well, I will say this: the next album review, I'm gonna have a lot of good things to say about the Peter Green songs on Mr. Wonderful.
Oh boy, Mr.
I said the Peter Green stuff. I didn't say the Jeremy Spencer stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like in this album, Peter Green got better in the band. That's when Jeremy Spencer, for some reason, got worse in the band. If you could believe your eyes on that one.
I feel like the U.S.
But
record executives made a good decision by not releasing Mr. Wonderful and putting out a compilation with the good songs of Mr. Wonderful and some of the singles like um, Albatross and Black Magic Woman.
we'll talk about that on one of the albums, Albatross and Black Magic Woman, because
Yeah, those two
I have a
songs are
lot.
great.
I have a lot to say about that. I do want to know right now, between the two of you, should we do it on the next album review where we talk about those two songs on the album, or should
I
we
was
all
gonna
talk
say
about?
save it for then play on, but like thinking about it, we need something good to say on our Mr. Wonderful review.
Yeah, where we all could agree on
Yeah, good
something.
point.
Okay, not that, but Bryer did something smart in the last Mamas and Papas review where we included "Glad to Be Unhappy," where he included in his ranking list like one of his top
Okay,
fives.
good, because when we talk about then play on, I gotta put "Oh Well" in there.
Yeah, because "Oh Well" would be my favorite off the like out of the 15 songs
Yeah.
we talked about. But again, we're talking ahead. That's another thing about these first two albums is that we keep thinking about other eras. Once we
You
get
can
to
tell
like,
we've actually listened to all the Fleetwood Mac albums rather than just like going one at a time and then doing a video and then making another video, listen to the next one.
yeah, once we get to like Killing House and Future Games, and then play on that. That's when us talk about other albums.
I
Will
feel though
be
like finally getting to those later albums, like getting to re-listen to this album with fresh ears, like because like sometimes you start at the beginning like, oh, I just want to get to this particular album because I want to hear what that sounds like.
Mhm.
Now, like getting Tusk and Fleetwood Mac self-titled out of the way. Honestly speaking, like I wasn't real excited to go revisit this album.
That's fair.
Mhm.
That's fair. I mean,
Unlike
it's only
the Peter Gabriel Genesis, like whenever I revisit every one of those albums, like those are really good. But
yeah. Well, it's only two albums that we're reviewing. If it was like 4 or 5 reviews, and I'll be like, if it was like 4 albums of this, I'd be like 4 or 5 albums of this. I'd be like, hey, let's just start on this album and then get to this period. I mean, it's
still
only gonna be,
probably going to be better than Time. I am not looking forward to listening to that album.
heck of a lot better. I say if I had to go through Time, all three of us would have to go through Time.
As of now, the last Fleetwood Mac album I listened to was Tusk, which was amazing.
Yeah.
But
definitely take notes on Time. So definitely take notes on Time and the other. Take notes on the first, not first, on the 3 post Buckingham albums, because after you listen to those 3, you're never going to listen to them again. So just take notes of them the first time, so you
That's
don't.
what I always do anyway, so I'm good.
Yep. So you never have to go back to it. Never going back again.
Doom,
doom.
So on the album,
you know what? I was going to say something, but I probably shouldn't because I am going to get all these hate comments if I do.
No. Who cares? I could just. Plus, it's my channel. It's
all right. I'll say it. Lindsey Buckingham is a better guitarist than Peter Green.
I'm pretty sure most people would agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
No, you don't know. I see all these people who are like,
yeah, but it's usually a pretty small group.
I don't get that. Like, even
they're
though
pretty small group, but they're very vocal.
I think Peter Green is very amazing. I love his iconic Les Paul with the weird wired pickups that give it that quacky sound. I like that. But Lindsey Buckingham, like, especially he doesn't play with a pick. He uses his fingers. And like, I think that really adds to his sound, especially listening to some of the solos that he does. Like, I'm like, dude, how are you? Like, Mark Knopfler does the same thing. But I'm like, every time I hear Lindsey Buckingham play, I'm like, how are you doing that without a pick? Like, listening to Go Your Own Way, listening to the solo on that, I'm like, dude, you're not picking like that. He's just hitting one note a bunch of times and like bending it and making it sound really good. And I'm like, how are you just using your fingers to make it sound like that? Like, I got to use a pick to sound like that.
Yeah. Well, Buckingham stuff behind. Beside next song on the album, My Baby's Good to Me.
All right. Written by Jeremy Spencer. He sings it. It's 12-bar blues. That's all. That's all.
It's a
That's it. That's all I
song.
got.
It's
That's all I
one of the
got.
songs of all time.
we
It's a
we get
song.
we get it, Jeremy. Your baby is good to you, and she looks nice. That's
Exactly.
about it.
Yep.
Yep, it's a Fleetwood Mac song on a Fleetwood Mac album in 1968, track 8. Next song on the album, I Loved Another Woman.
Okay. Here, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about this one. Here is a fine example, this album, of lyrical sameness. Every other one of these songs is pretty much like I wasn't true to my woman, or my woman wasn't true to me. That's like the and I know that's the blues. I know that that's the blues, but like I feel so
I will say
bad for
this.
roasting this album, but like can we not have Peter Green bring his amazing oh wellness to this album?
I will say this. I do like this song a little bit because it reminds me of Black Magic Woman, which
Mm,
the sound of it is actually really good because it reminds me of. I mean, the lyrics. Well, this is another thing I will say. If you're a big fan of the blues rock, this is an essential album to listen to. If you're a big fan of the blues, like if you're craving blues rock and huge fan of that and all that,
oh
and you
yeah,
like,
I will definitely give credit where credit is due, and I can see this being a very influential album. This and I know it's very similar, but John Mayall's Blues Breakers album with Eric Clapton. I can definitely see that as being, yeah, you had it right there. I definitely like that album better than this one, but
Yeah.
I can definitely get where players can listen to this album and pick up the guitar licks from Peter Green. This album is an excellent way to get like it's an excellent lick 101. If like you're wanting to get into blues guitar and you want to like if you hear oh well and you're like how does Peter Green play that solo, and you're like I need something to practice so I can get to oh well. It's like try playing some of the Peter Green licks off this album. Like they're I should probably try to learn some of the Peter Green licks off of this album to improve my playing. Like because I'm a guitar player and sometimes I'm like I feel like I don't know what to play whenever I'm playing guitar. I should probably get a hint from Peter Green here. But like just listening enjoyment for me, I would like some I feel so horrible for saying all this bad stuff about this album because it is most definitely influential and I can see that. It's just I will just say in my opinion, it's not my favorite.
yeah, it's not like any of us are going to be like, if you like this album, you are. I mean, there are even Bryer said it perfectly. There are the few people who love this album to death, or the Peter
Yeah.
Green era to death. But I feel like those people are the least forgiving for people who like the more commercial stuff, like
Yeah, like
Rumor.
rumors. And there's some jerk dude who was like that Fleetwood Mac was just straight up pop after Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks joined. And like, have you heard some of Lindsey Buckingham's songs on Tusk? That's like anti-pop.
Oh man, that's what I mean. Like, we'll talk about that when we get to Tusk because I have a lot to say about Buckingham's contributions to that
Yeah.
album. But yeah, Brian, what do you have to say about "I Loved Another Woman"?
I've loved another woman. So now we're finally back to Peter Green. So yeah, he wrote this. He's on lead vocals, and this is probably my favorite song he contributes to this album. Even though it's a much slower song. It has a different vibe compared to the rest. Can't really describe it, but it's very simple. The bass and percussion, it's all laid back. But this is where Peter Green kind of gets to shine a bit more as a guitar player, like his melodic playing. It's definitely very caught my ear. Like, okay, because before I'm hearing Peter Green's guitar playing, and I'm like, okay, this is pretty good. He's definitely way better than Jeremy. But this is kind of where it really kind of okay. Like this is the song where I was like, okay, now I'm starting to hear what people hear in Peter Green, especially when he's doing the more melodic playing. When he's more melodic, that's kind of where I think he shines the most. And I kind of wish he did more of that on this album. But we'll see as we go along. But yeah, this was another standout song for me.
I'm going to agree with you, Bryer. Peter Green is very melodic in his guitar playing. Like a lot of what he plays is like, the pentatonic blues stuff, but then whenever he alternates between that and like the pentatonic blues stuff is kind of holds up the melodic stuff that he does. Like he plays the cool blues runs and then he'll do this really like memorable melodic lick and it's like, hey, like that blues stuff was really cool and then like but you played that little lick right there that's almost sounded like you're making that's what I after all of the horrible things I have said about this album, Peter Green can make his guitar sing.
Yeah,
I will say
definitely.
that.
I feel like this is like the Black Magic Woman before Black Magic Woman was made. I could definitely hear hints of what is to come in the future albums. I mean,
In
not
future
the
games.
next. I wouldn't say next album, but there is a certain album that Garrett mentioned a few times already.
And if music be the language of love, you can finish the sentence with the album title.
Yep.
You Shakespeare fans.
Then play on. Yeah, this is amazing. Even I showed this album to my dad and my uncle, and this was like a couple of years ago. And my uncle, he was like, "Is this Black Magic Woman?" I'm like, "No." He was like, "I like it." And when I found out Black Magic Woman was written by them, part of me, I'm like, "Wow, it's a Fleetwood Mac song."
Right.
All this time, I thought it was a Santana song. Santana. I'm like, wow, that's
Speaking of Santana, you know who plays guitar on that Black Magic Woman cover?
Neil Sean?
Neil Sean of Journey.
Yep.
Oh, wow. I didn't know
that. Before he was in Journey, he was the rhythm second lead guitar player for Santana.
That's true.
But yeah, I love Another Woman. Next song on the album, Cold Black Night.
All right. Another Jeremy Spencer song, lead vocals. He loves his slide guitar. That's it. It's boring. I was bored.
It's cold, it's black, and it's a night.
Yes, and I want to go to
sleep. That's my
room. This song is horrible. I hate it. This is like their first bad song. I mean, there are some horrific songs on the next album, but this was the first bad song that Fleetwood Mac made. Yeah, it's bad. It's horrible. You guys were nice by not saying much about it. I just think it's a horrible song. The World Keep On Turning. Let's talk about that.
Okay. All right. A little bit better. Yeah. So again, back to Peter Green. He's on lead vocals again. This one, very simple. It's basically just him and acoustic guitar mostly, for the most part. And, if you like acoustic guitar playing, of course, it's definitely going to be up your alley. Me, it's not something I go for very often. I kind of like when there's more to it. If it's just acoustic guitar, I kind of want something a bit more. But, it's not bad. I didn't hate it. It's all right.
It's all right. It's there.
Yes.
I actually thought it was really good. This is right after that horrific song, Cold Black Night. This brings it up a lot better than that song. I actually quite like the last two songs on the album. It ends the album pretty good, which is Got to Move. That's the last song on the album.
Yeah. So this is another cover, and apparently Spencer is doing all the covers on this album, which is good because that means he's not writing anything. But again, going back to the standard blues fare, it's got a decent rhythm. I kind of liked how towards the end they kind of incorporated some pauses in between. That kind of changed it up a little bit. It's a solid song. It's decent, but again, it's nothing I will go back to.
It's there. I don't know why.
I thought it was a solid way of ending the album, but I don't have a whole lot to say about it either.
I don't really have a whole lot to say.
5 favorite songs and a dishonorable song.
Number 5 is going to be Shake Your Money Maker. Number 4 will be Shake Your Money Maker. Number 3, Shake Your Money Maker. Number 2, Shake Your Money Maker. And number 1 is Shake Your Money Maker. And dishonorable will be everything else. I'm sorry.
Dang. Anyway, mine, number 5, I'll go Merry-Go-Round. Number 4, Hellhound on My Trail. Again, that piano saved it. Long Gray Mare. Number 2, I Loved Another Woman. And number 1, Shake Your Moneymaker, of course. And dead last, no question, Cold Black Night.
My number 5, The World Keeps on Turning. Number 4, Looking for Somebody. Number 3, I Loved Another Woman. Number 2, Merry-Go-Round. And my favorite on the album, Shake Your Moneymaker. And I agree with Bryer. Cold Black Night is horrible. It's dead last. Now for the album ratings, starting with you, Bryer.
Okay. This was a tough one to rate. Again, I can definitely, like we've mentioned it many times. Obviously, I can hear the influence on here. To a lot of people, this is a blues rock classic. But again, knowing what the band would do later, and especially in this listening to it in this day and age, it's very hard not to compare. And of course, I am more into the later stuff, of course. So again, I do like some blues rock from time to time, but I can only take so much in one sitting. This might be sound fair. This might be a little too generous, but I'm gonna give this a 6.75 out of 10. Again, it's if you like blues rock, you're gonna love it. But for me, I like other stuff way more. So that's gonna be my rating.
It's a little generous for me. I am a very difficult a very difficult grader. Not too difficult. Like my rating isn't going to be horrible for this album, but since it's kind of just a lot of the songs are just there, and Shake Your Moneymaker was good, I'm going to give it a 5.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm like the most generous. Um, I'm probably gonna give it an 8 out of 10 because there's some really good guitar playing. Peter Green has great vocals. There is some good writing with him too as well. There's good stuff on this album. It's just there's just problems that prevent me from rating it any higher. Like if there was no Jeremy Spencer, if there was no one song that really dropped the rating was Cold Black Night. If that wasn't on there, it would be a lot better. But yeah. Yeah, that's my rating.
Cool. So where do we go from here?
Well, to all the Peter Green fans, if you thought we were being too hard on this album, wait till we get to the next one.
Oh yeah. For Mr. Wonderful, don't ask me what I think of you. I might not give the answer that you want me to.
Yep.
Yeah, that's another
well.
reason why I wanted to do Mr. Wonderful instead of English Rose, because we need to actually be harsh on Fleetwood Mac before we start raving over them.
I will unabashedly bash Mr.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Let's
I feel a little bad for this one because this one is at least like I at least respect this album.
Yeah,
like
of course.
The next album, I just do not like that one.
Yeah, we're definitely not gonna have wonderful moods in that one.
Oh yeah. Yeah, hopefully we review that album soon because I just want to get to Then Play On, honestly.
Me too.
Yes.
I am so ready to talk about that one.
Yeah, and I'll get ready for you guys. Pretty much for the listening track version, I a couple of times before, but that's the version we're talking about. Obviously, we're going to talk about Black Magic. Well, we're gonna the next album we're going to talk about the on Mr. Full, but we're going to talk about Albatross and Black Woman. Those two songs we have to talk about on that when we talk about Mr. Wonderful. Then Play On, we're going to reveal the 14 tracks, the UK original, and then we're also going to add in OL at the end. So prepare for that. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching this video. I'm going to read some commentation left, which was 3 more. Supper's ready. Moving sucks. I still need to clean the house. Oh, wait. this thing.
Here you go.
In the house more than this week. Good for you, Garrett. You've seen the light now. I don't know what you said why
Probably
you
for
told
that
me
Beatles conversation earlier.
Oh yeah. The revolver thing.
with Revolver, yeah. Either that or Jason's like, Garrett is finally like ripping up an album. Like, I have never seen this before.
Maybe,
Like,
I mean, I could play too.
Literally, I don't think I've ever said this many negative things about an album, not even our Stay with the Hollies review.
Yeah, it's crazy how like 2 of the 3 reviews you did on this. I mean, 2 of the 3 reviews you do with me are not exactly the best albums in the world. Not the best reviews. Don't worry, you're gonna be now our next Doors review is gonna be Strange Day. So, but yeah. Wait for the
Spanish Caravan.
After that cold black night, we need the sun, definitely.
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, that's our review. Fleetwood Mac. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.